Hi, welcome to ICF1. For today's lesson, we will discuss the LO 1.5 with the title Computer Port. Class. Most people look at a computer and see it as a machine that you operate with keyboard, mouse, and that connects to a monitor and printer. What most of us overlook is that other parts are simply connected to the computer. They're on the outside. For the reasons, these devices aren't part of the computer. There has to be an easy way to physically connect them to the system unit so that the computer and peripheral devices can work and talk to each other. To continue, let's watch this video first.
This is a typical desktop computer. It has various buttons and ports on the front and back of the computer case. We're going to go over some of the most common ones, which you'll find on most desktop computers. Let's start with the front of the case. Most desktop computers have the power button on the front, although some all-in-one computers put it on the back behind the screen. Your computer will probably have an optical disk drive, also known as a CD-ROM or DVD-ROM drive. This has either a tray or a slot where you can insert a CD, DVD, or even a Blu-ray disc if it's a newer computer. If you have blank CDR or DVD-R discs, you can write or burn data onto them. For convenience, your computer may have audio ports and USB ports on the front. That makes it easier to plug in your phone, headphones, or USB flash drive. You can also find audio and USB ports on the back of the computer. You'll usually have several USB ports so you can plug in all of the peripherals that you need. The power socket is also found on the back, and this is where you'll connect the power cord. To connect your computer to the internet, you can use an Ethernet cable to connect your Ethernet port to your modem or router. And this port looks a lot like a telephone port, but it's a little bit wider. You'll use your computer's monitor port to connect the monitor. There are many different types of monitor ports. This computer has a VGA port, but your computer may have a different kind, such as DVI or HDMI. Expansion slots allow you to upgrade your computer by adding expansion cards. For example, you can add a graphics card to get better gaming performance. Many computers use PS2 ports to connect the mouse and keyboard. The mouse port is usually green and the keyboard port is usually purple. But if you have a USB mouse and keyboard, then you won't need to use these ports. Finally, some computers have a serial port and a parallel port for connecting to older peripherals such as printers. But today, most devices use the USB ports instead. So those are the main types of buttons and ports that you'll find on a desktop computer. Your computer may have the ports in different places, and it may even have a different type of port, but chances are most of these basic parts are there.
So class, what is a computer port? Computer ports serve as the interface between the computer and the other computer devices. It is a specialized outlet where you plug in your devices. It is an interface or point of connection between the computer and its peripheral devices. The main function of computer port is to act as a point of attachment, where the cable from the peripheral devices can be plugged in and allow data to flow from and to the device. It is also called a communication port, as it is responsible for communication between the computer and its peripheral devices. computer port can be found at the back of your system unit. Here's the other view of computer port. So let's now identify one by one the different computer ports that can be found on your computer. To start, we have the power plug port. It is where you will plug the power cord. The next one is the PS2 port. Stands for Personal System 2 port. It is where you will plug the PS2 mouse and PS2 keyboard. PS2 mouse usually the mint green, and the PS2 keyboard is usually the purple one or the lavender. The most commonly used port is the USB port. Stands for Universal Serial Bus. It is where you will plug all kinds of USB connector and devices, such as flash drive, headphones, printer, webcam, mouse, keyboard, scanner, and other computer peripheral devices that use USB connector. The next one is the Ethernet port. It is where you will plug the Ethernet cord that you will use to connect to the internet or to have the network connection. The next one is the VGA port. Stands for Video Graphics Array. It is where you will plug the monitor. Here's an example of VGA connected to a monitor. The next one is the DVI port, the other video display that you can use. DVI stands for Digital Video or Visual Interface. It is used to connect a high-definition video source. There are three types of DVI connector. The DVI-I for both analog and digital connection, the DVI-D for digital connection, and DVI-A for analog connection. The next one is the HDMI port. Stands for High Definition Multimedia Interface. It is used to connect high-definition devices to the computer like HD cameras, HD TVs, and monitors, and projector. The next one is the parallel port or the LPT port. It is used to connect external devices such as scanner and printer like the dot matrix printer. The next one is the audio port or sound port. It is where you will plug the microphone, headphone, and speaker. Light pink is for the microphone, light blue is for the line in, light green is for the headphone or speaker. The next one is the serial port. It is used for external modems like the dial-up and older computer mouse. The next one is the game port. It is where you will plug the older joystick. Then we have the other digital video port. The S video port stands for separate video port. It is used for cable and television connection. Here's the other computer port. Class, serial port, parallel port, PS2 port, and gay port are all replaced by USB port. And then we have different video display, the VGA, S-Video, HDMI, and then the DVI port. And then we have the two kind of internet connection, the Ethernet, and then the port that is connected on a telephone. And then we have the USB or the universal serial port. We have the USB-A, USB-B, Mini-A, Mini-B, Micro AB, and Micro B. And then we have the newer one, the USB Type-C. And then we have the different audio that you can use for your sound. And then we have the FireWire link. And then we have the other power connectors. Class, remember, each computer is different, so the buttons, ports, and socket will vary from computer to computer. However, there are certain ones you can expect to find on most desktop computers. Learning how these ports are used will help whenever you need to connect something to your computer, like a new printer, keyboard, or mouse. There are lots of different ports available for both desktop and laptop computer, each one with its own rules and different sizes. Computer ports are an essential feature of all computing devices. The most important ports on computer are used for networking, for without them, the computer would be completely isolated and unable to communicate outside of itself. So class, do you understand the lesson? Do you have any questions? So that's all for today. Goodbye class. See you again on our next lesson. Goodbye!